it's kind of hard to explain, really. A lot of times I find myself thinking that it makes absolutely no sense whatsoever. A lot of times when I'm working on something, it's really, you almost hate yourself for it. It's horrible, it sucks sometimes, but for some reason there's just this, I can't imagine not, really. I can't imagine not doing it. I can't imagine not wanting to tinker with what I have.
So there's something about a vehicle that's got a little history to it. And a lot of people don't think much of that. A lot of people think it's just an old piece of junk, and why don't you buy a new car like everybody else?
What people respond with, especially in the car community, is praise and affirmation and builds you up. And so even if you have like dark areas of your life, things that you struggle with, it's almost an avenue of which you can take and still see a little bit of that light in the dark. So how did I get into cars? I was young, like everyone, but a friend of mine had introduced me into cars, or at least the idea of modifying cars. And I remember getting my first car, like we all did, and driving down that road and feeling that sense of freedom and being able to go where you want, how you want. It's like, imagine driving down a road and you could be going the speed limit, you could be over the speed limit. Now, when you start to modify your cars and do things in, I guess in quotes, the car world, and building something, that freedom that you feel expands and becomes something even more. Because that same road that you were traveling, now that you're doing it with something that you have built, that you have made your own, there's a new level of enjoyment and wonder. The other aspect was that growing up, I always enjoyed some superheroes and cartoons where people move fast. And so when you modify a car, at least when I modify a car, my intentions are to be able to move faster from point A to point B. And so I really enjoyed the Flash growing up. He was my favorite superhero. Even to this day, he's the go-to for me. And so how fast can I get from 0 to 60? From this point to that point. And then there's like Speed Racer, like racing down these rickety roads and hugging corners and not knowing when you may not make the next corner. When do I have to brake? When should I accelerate? All these aspects to driving that are exciting. And so when you apply that to working on a car, there's a new level of excitement in what you can and cannot do. And it almost makes you feel limitless.
I mean, I know we're on cars, but I got multiple motorcycles. And what's the first thing I do every time I take one home? I got whack those mufflers off. Same thing with a car, man. First thing it comes home, I gotta do something to it. I don't know why. There's just this urge that it's too quiet. It's not right. It's too slow. It's too something. I gotta change that. And I don't know. It's something very personal. You get much more of that connection with it. you're taking something and making it your own. And something about cars, like, you know, they're around for so long, they outlive their original owners many times, and with each owner, each phase, they kind of go through a different phase. When I get something and I start messing with it, that's me taking it to its next step, its next chapter of its journey. And once I pass it on, you know, someone else is going to do something else to it and make it theirs. I get very, very attached to my vehicles. Like, even a lot of car guys, they don't think anything of buying and selling and getting rid of, but like, I have only sold 2 cars ever in my whole life. I just accumulate them. I don't get rid of them. And the one, like, I regret deeply. It was an 89 F-150 I bought for $800 as a beater just to get me to the coal mine and back when I was working there. Rotted to hell. But, I mean, this thing is such a pile, but I loved it so much. It was so basic. Bench seat. The radio was just a radio. No tape or CD or nothing. No factory air conditioning. It's not like it had air conditioning that didn't work. No, it never came with it. But I loved it. It got a lot of use out of it. It eventually got to where it was just, the body was so rotted, I couldn't keep up with it. I passed it on to my one buddy who needed something. He beat on it for a while. Then he passed it to another buddy of mine. I was even helping him fix it up. We were buying new sheet metal and stuff for it, and without even telling me, he scrapped it.
There's something about it, and it's something almost intangible, but just the idea that, you know, okay, that when I'm sitting there and I got my hand on a shift knob, somebody else had their hand on that shift knob while James Dean was still alive. You know, it's there's been a lot of people through there, and everybody has a story, and it has a story. So to a lot of people, a car is just an appliance, and they pick up what's new and in style on a big loan, and they make payments, and it's good as long as they don't have to mess with it, and they can trade up in a year or two. But I kind of like to mess with it. Sure, they keep me busy, but really it's good for me. It's something to be in tune with. It's something to listen to. You can focus in, and you get to know a car after a while, and you know what sounds it should make, and you know what sounds it shouldn't make whenever a new one comes up. And usually there's always a new one that can come up, and it's usually interesting, and it piques your attention right at that moment. And it's something to go look for, and it keeps your mind sharp. That can certainly be frustrating. I can understand why people don't want to deal with it. But I'm happy to keep on going. Is it the most comfortable thing I've ever been in? Not quite. But it's a very different driving experience than most people are used to. I don't have power steering, I don't have power brakes, I don't have power windows or power anything really. See, it's almost work. There is a decent amount of physical work to operating the vehicle, but and that also feels really good in itself. And you're very connected to everything. As far as manual steering and no insulation, and you feel everything, you hear everything, you have a complete sense of everything, and you have a complete mechanical connection to everything. You're not insulated, you're not separated. You can feel it, you can hear it. Sometimes you can smell it, that's usually a problem. A lot of people like to be separated from all that stuff, but it's a very satisfying part of the experience for me most of the time. I've been in newer vehicles, and it almost doesn't feel real because they try to make it feel that way. That's what they're going for. You feel incredibly insulated from the outside world, and you're not actually connected to anything. It's almost like a video game, and they're trying to make it more like a video game, and at the same time video games are trying to make it more like real life, and I don't know if they're going to meet in the middle at any point. But so I never really got that into video games. Any machine you look at, whether it's a car or a blender, though, somebody spent a lot of time figuring out every individual piece of that and how it should go together and how it should be manufactured. You can look at anything and get an appreciation for that.
So what makes car guys different than the normal person, huh? Well, I know we might just be a little crazy, really. I mean, why take apart a perfectly good car and give yourself all this headache? Well, I don't know, because I guess we're not satisfied with the status quo, really. We're not satisfied to roll around in the latest beige washing machine.
I also just love people. When I work on a car and I have the opportunity to work with someone or even share something about the car that I'm working on and show them love.
I was talking about personal aspect, but there's another aspect to it. You also get a communal aspect. There's nothing better than when you're with your buddies working on something. So some of my best memories have been with me and my friends doing something ridiculous that we probably shouldn't have with one of our vehicles.
Any custom car, any race car, you can look at it again and again and see more details, and you could see the care that somebody put into that. And it may not be your thing, but there's still something to be appreciated. And that's a really important part of the car community, is being able to appreciate.
We have something in common that brings us together and makes us different from the rest of the world.
You know, we want to be different. We want something different. We want to experience something different. Something better, something cooler, something faster, more exciting. Whatever it may be, we want something different out of life than your average person who's too scared to venture out of the norm. No, that's it. We're risk takers, really. We're all risk takers.